The latest updates with the models and our thinking on what's going to go on for this weekend. Now, if you missed my 2 o'clock stream, I was talking about how we're coming to the conclusion that this will be more of a risk for north central Georgia, so areas north of Macon, and it looks like the greatest of the impacts will also be reserved for our most northern counties, such as Putnam, Hancock, and Jasper County. We also have a winter storm watch for most of north central Georgia, as well as those counties will have a chance of seeing impactful ice. So let's get into the details with the headlines, and I'm just going to put this full screen. So here are the headlines. We have a small rain chance tomorrow. Now, we had some scattered sprinkles all throughout the day for our most northern counties, but our southern counties had mostly clear skies, and this was all due to a stalled boundary that came in last night, and that's providing that cloud cover and moisture for our most northern counties. Now, a wintry mix is possible for Saturday evening, and this could linger throughout Sunday morning, but our rationale is that it's going to transition into more of a cold rain throughout Sunday afternoon. And then we have the potential for refreezing Monday morning. Now, once again, it's for our northern counties north of Macon. So here's a look at the weather impact alert. Once again, for the potential of wintry mix and ice throughout Saturday afternoon into Monday morning, for the potential of refreezing throughout Monday morning. And here's a look at the live radar. I mentioned that frontal boundary that has stalled for our northern counties, providing that scattered shower chance. We're seeing still some light rain for our northern counties such as Jasper County and Putnam County. We're also seeing some sprinkles in Monroe County as well. And if we zoom out, here's the big picture. You can see that line of scattered rain also draped across Georgia and Alabama as well. Going big picture, as I mentioned, that front is just stalled at that current place, and we're also seeing a surge of moisture coming in from the Gulf. Now, we know that moisture is one of the key ingredients needed for winter weather to occur. Now, we're having moisture being set up, but we don't have the cold air yet. But eventually that's going to come in later on Saturday when an Arctic air mass is going to come down towards the south. And that's when the Gulf moisture and that cold Arctic air mass is going to interact. And this is the reason why we have that big potential of a winter storm all across the southeast. And then eventually that front is going to move down towards the south. We're going to lose moisture, so we're expecting mostly clear skies throughout Monday afternoon. However, once again, it's going to be cold throughout the start of the work week. We're going to see lows potentially in the upper teens and the lower 20s. So because of the freezing temperatures, we still have that risk of lingering ice that just didn't have time to melt in the weekend. Here's a look at the current humidity levels, and you can see the light green in the panhandle across southern Alabama and Florida and Mississippi. That's that moisture being pumped in from the south that'll eventually increase our winter weather chances across the Peach State. And now here is the look at the latest FutureView run, and you can see that tomorrow is going to be very similar to what we had today. Scattered sprinkles throughout tomorrow morning. We could see some heavier showers, and this model run shows some potentially widespread rain around midday, especially affecting Macon and Warner Robins. Once we get into Friday afternoon, we should be mainly dry. Then we get into Saturday. Now, Saturday we could start off the day with some sprinkles, but then by the evening, you notice for our easternmost counties, you can see some patchy wintry mix beginning to develop. And then once we get into the morning, that's when we'll start to see widespread wintry mix. And there you can see a batch over the most northern counties. That is where we will potentially see the ice accumulate throughout that time. And then as we get into the long range models, the GFS shows some wintry mix still lingering for the afternoon on Sunday for the most northern counties, but then we'll transition into a cold rain in the evening, and then we'll be completely dry throughout Monday. This is a look at another model. This is the Euro model, and it once again shows the same thing as the GFS, potential wintry mix throughout the morning for our most northern counties, and then we'll transition into a cold rain a little earlier than the GFS around the early afternoon. and that cold rain will linger until Monday morning. So we're seeing some consistency within the models showing the most amount of wintry mix and ice for our most northern counties such as Jasper, Putnam, and Hancock County. Now, of course, I've had a lot of questions over the past couple of days in terms of what's the type of wintry precipitation. Is it going to be snow? And it's going to be quite the opposite as what we experienced on Sunday. Now, Sunday was a perfect setup for snow across central Georgia. Now we're expecting freezing rain and sleet. Now, if you're not accustomed to the two types of precipitation, freezing rain and sleet is the worst type of wintry precipitation. It's the one that causes ice, it causes hazardous road conditions. And the reason behind this is because we have warmer air for the upper layers of the atmosphere. So that precipitation falling from the clouds, it falls as a normal raindrop, but eventually when it comes down, it'll encounter a layer that's below freezing, and it will freeze at that point. So that's why we have freezing rain and sleet, and we're encountering a very similar setup that is favorable for freezing rain and sleet to occur. So looking at the ice accumulation forecast, here is the Euro, and it shows once again those three northern counties, the Jasper, Putnam, and Hancock counties being affected by ice. We also have the GFS model showing those three counties and even more counties such as Baldwin County and the northern half of Washington County. It also clips Monroe County and Pike County as well. We have the NAM model not showing any ice for central Georgia. However, I want you to take this with a grain of salt because this model also doesn't take into account the potential for any of the rain that falls on Sunday to refreeze as ice into Monday morning. So we could have potentially even more ice than what the models are showing. And the reason why this forecast is very serious, especially for the weekend, is because ice could be extremely impactful for everyone in our area, especially those who encounter the actual ice. So for anyone who receives a 1/10 of an inch of ice or less, it'll be a light glaze. So some ice on trees and power lines. It wouldn't cause much in terms of power outages. There could be some slick spots on the sidewalks and some roads. Once you get to a 1/4 of an inch, that's where it gets problematic. So coat windshields and cars, and it'll also be dangerous for bridges and for roads. It will be harder for you to stop and use your brakes. We'll also have trees and power lines starting to fail. This is around the point where some power outages will be possible. Then you get to 1/2 inch or even more. This is where things will get catastrophic. This is where roads will be impossible to travel on. You have widespread power outages that will last for days. Now, I just want to mention the chances for this to happen, especially throughout much of our area, is decreasing by a lot. We're expecting more manageable stuff. If there were to be any areas that would receive this amount of ice, it would be once again for places such as Jasper, Putnam, or Hancock County. But if you're watching from Macon, I'd say the chances of this happening for you would be very, very low. Now, for North Georgia, on the other hand, we do expect this and even more. Some of the ice accumulations for North Georgia, especially the Georgia mountains, are over 1 inch, potentially 2 inches. So a really serious situation in North Georgia, but for us, the impacts will be a lot more manageable. So here's a look at the headlines. So no matter what, this is not going to be like last weekend. This is going to be an ice concern. And the reason why we have that weather impact alert into Monday morning is because of that potential for refreezing. Even though we're expecting that wintry mix to stop by around Sunday morning or potentially early afternoon, even if it's going to be a cold rain throughout the rest of Sunday, there is a chance that all that rain would not have time to truly melt, and it could potentially refreeze into Monday morning. Now, in terms of the overall impacts, it looks like the risk would be for places north of Macon. If you live south of Macon, we're getting more confident that this will be mainly a rain event for you all throughout the weekend. So here's a look at the overall risks for this upcoming weekend for central Georgia. This was by the National Weather Service earlier today. Now, it shows places such as Macon, areas north of Warner Robins, all the way into the northern end of Putnam County, Jasper County, and Hancock County to be in a low risk for impacts. And then, of course, areas that have clipped the northern end of Putnam, Jasper, and Hancock County all the way to Gainesville are within a moderate risk. And then, as I mentioned, it's an extremely serious situation for the Georgia mountains. They're in a high risk for impacts. So what does this mean in particular? We saw that most of the northern half of central Georgia is within a low risk for impacts. It means that the National Weather Service is still very uncertain about the impacts, but we still have at least a 20% chance of seeing freezing rain. And then for the places within a moderate risk for impacts, such as the northern end of Hancock, Putnam, and Jasper County, those areas that were consistently shown within the models of receiving something, there's still a good deal of uncertainty, but the potential is higher for accumulations to reach half an inch to even an inch of ice. And this is what I was talking about. If we were going to see half an inch of ice, it would be for those areas, such as the northern end of Putnam County, the northern tip of Jasper County, and the northern tip of Hancock County. Now, of course, here is the current watches and warnings over our area. We have a winter storm watch for 6 counties in central Georgia. So the majority of our northern counties, such as Jones County, Baldwin County, Hancock County, Putnam County, Jasper County, and Washington County. Now, this doesn't mean that you'll receive an insane amount of ice. This doesn't mean you'll have catastrophic impacts that will be imminent. This means that you'll just have the chance of seeing something, either if it's minor or something major. And you just saw the graphic that I just showed you. There's more chances that it's going to be generally a low impact weekend for those counties. But if you live for the northern end of Jasper, Putnam, and Hancock County, there's a higher chance of more dangerous ice for y'all. So once again, here's a look at the weather impact alert. So the timing, we're honing in into Saturday afternoon all the way through Sunday and into Monday morning. Now, we're expecting most of the wintry precipitation to end by Sunday midday. However, we have the potential for all that rain falling Sunday afternoon and evening to potentially refreeze into Monday morning. So what's the need to stay up to date with the forecast, avoid the roads, especially if you're in that winter storm watch, and postpone any outdoor plans. So that is the in-depth look of our forecast. Of course, Ben Jones, he's going to be live throughout the 5 o'clock shows and our 6 o'clock shows. He'll also be live later tonight at 9 o'clock to answer your questions that you have. Thank you very much.